Simon here from wantomegabet.com. Monday morning quarterback on September 29th, 2025. What an unbelievable weekend of college football, Ryder Cup golf, and of course, an amazing day of NFL action yesterday, Sunday, all the way into Sunday night, starting at 9:30 in the morning with the Steelers. And the Vikings game ending with an unbelievable second highest scoring game in NFL history last night between the Packers and Dallas. We'll get to everything. Let's go through the entire card, starting with Thursday night. Just a quick recap on every game from the NFL. First game of the week was Seattle traveling to Arizona. Seattle had the game well in hand. They were laying 2.5 on the road, actually 1.5, maybe 2, depending on where you got your closing number, but pretty much had the game in hand. The defense played as expected, pretty much shut down Arizona. Kyler Murray had 2 interceptions. Marvin Harrison had an emotional touchdown. Not sure what's going on there, but more to come on that. But anyway, Seattle got the win and the cover. There was a late rally by Arizona. They scored 14 points in the last 8 minutes of the game, and after being pretty much shut out the entire night, and Seattle got it done with a game-winning field goal with no time on the clock. First game on Sunday morning was the Pittsburgh Steelers visiting the Minnesota Vikings in Ireland. This was a game really about the Pittsburgh defense. Carson Wentz, 2 TDs, but also 2 interceptions and 6 sacks. He was 30 for 46 for 350 yards, but that wasn't enough. It was really the story of Pittsburgh and their defense, as far as I'm concerned. Aaron Rodgers, 18 for 22, 200 yards, 81 completion percentage. So he wasn't really throwing the ball downfield, but had a touchdown and no interceptions, and the offensive line did a good job keeping him upright, only giving up 2 sacks. Gainwell, 2 touchdowns and 99 yards. Good for fantasy owners there. And DK Metcalf had 5 for 126 and a touchdown on 5 targets. So very efficient offensively for Pittsburgh, and they get out of there with the win. This game was actually, I think, dominated by Pittsburgh. The score didn't exactly indicate that, but congrats to the Steelers as they move to 3-1. Good day for the Atlanta Falcons. They took care of business against the Washington Commanders. Final score was 34-27. This was also not as close as the score indicated. Game was well in hand for most of the day for Atlanta. Michael Penix, 20 for 26 and 313 yards. He had 2 TDs and an interception. And Bijan Robinson, 75 for a TD. Algier got in for a touchdown. And Drake London, it was good to see him back and healthy. He also got in for a TD, and so did Kyle Pitts. And yeah, Commanders, they were led by Mariota, but there's a big difference when Jaden Daniels isn't in the game. And also they really missed Terry McLaurin. They're receiving. Samuel had 72 yards and a TD, but after that, it really dropped off. Ertz 21, McCaffrey 21, and that was pretty much it. They really missed Terry McLaurin there, and even though they put up a good fight, Atlanta gets the win, and they move to 2-2, and Washington's 2-2 as well. New Orleans Buffalo 31-19 final. New Orleans gets the cover on the 14-15, even 13.5s out there. They put up a good fight in this game, and in fact, in the fourth quarter, I think they were actually leading. But at the end, it was just too much Buffalo, and Josh Allen had a good day. 16 of 22, 209 yards, 72% completion percentage, 2 TDs. He did have a pick, and he was sacked 3 times, but James Cook, 117 yards and a touchdown with a 5-yard average. New Orleans defense wasn't able to do much here, but Spencer Rattler. I continue to like Spencer Rattler. 18 of 27, only a 126, but he had a TD. He was efficient. Kamara 70 yards, Miller 65, Shaheed 47, Johnson 28. So they put up a really good fight in this game as we expected to, and they scared all the survivor players for about 3 quarters, maybe 3.5 quarters. But ultimately, Buffalo gets the win. They move to 4-0, and unfortunately, the Saints are 0-4. Cleveland, Detroit. This one pretty much went as expected. There was also a big survivor play here on Detroit Lions, including myself with one of my teams. But another bad day for Joe Flacco. 16 of 34, a 47% completion percentage. I think a lot of us were waiting to see Dylan Gabriel come in a lot earlier than he did. He only came in for one attempt, but no TDs for Joe. 2 interceptions, 3 sacks. Jared Goff, good day, 16 for 27. He also had an interception. The Cleveland defense had them hanging around in this game like they always do. I wouldn't say Goff had a great day, only 168 yards, and completion percentage was 59. But he didn't get sacked. They kept him upright. Gibbs, 91 yards and a touchdown. And Amon St. Brown, 2 touchdowns. So efficient game for the Lions. Eventually they pulled away and the defense did enough. The Cleveland offense really, really continues to struggle. And the Detroit Lions go to 3-1, and the Cleveland Browns are now 1-3. Houston Texans took on the Tennessee Titans and just took them behind the woodshed, 26-0. Tennessee continues to be the worst rated team in the league. They did not score. It was a very tough day for them out there. And Houston finally got their first win. They moved to 1-3. Cam Ward, 10 for 26 and 100 yards. He had an interception, got sacked twice, no touchdowns. And CJ Stroud, perfect get right game for him, 22 of 28. Didn't really throw the ball downfield that much, but he didn't have to. 233 yards, a touchdown. He did get sacked twice. The Tennessee defense put up some fight, but man, it was a long, long day for them. And it's going to be a long season as survivor players continue to pick on them. And Houston gets the easy cover closing line of 7.5. Carolina, New England Patriots. Party's over for Carolina. I think there were a lot of people who believed they could easily compete in this game after what they did to Atlanta last week, but it's a week-to-week league, and Bryce Young, 18 for 30, only 150 yards and 1 touchdown. He didn't have any interceptions, but the Patriot defense was really strong, but the offense was great. Drake May, 14 of 17, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson, 38 yards only, but Henderson, Gibson, Drake May, all 3 of them rushed for touchdowns. So they really just ran roughshod over this defense. Stephon Diggs, 101 yards. Henry had a touchdown. Hooper, 24 and a target. And just a dominant performance by the New England Patriots. They went 42-13 and easily cover the 5.5 or 5-point line. It was like the Carolina Panthers were taking money in this game. But the Patriots really took care of business in front of the home crowd. The Jackson Dart era began yesterday at MetLife Stadium here in New Jersey. The New York Giants get their first win of the year. They were 0-3 coming in. They leave 1-3, and the Chargers just were flat all day. Herbert 23 of 41 for only 200 yards. He did have a touchdown, but he got sacked twice. He had 2 interceptions, and Chargers just did not look good yet. Meanwhile, Jackson Dart, 13 of 20 and a TD, no interceptions. He had a day. Scattergoose didn't get in, but Dart got in for a touchdown. And yeah, really good job just distributing the ball around to a bunch of different receivers. No one crazy yards, but Slayton. The big news here, Neighbors ended up with a torn ACL. He's out for the season, which is really going to hurt this team. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to go forward here. They may have to pick somebody up, but I can't imagine that Slayton can be the number one receiver on this team. Johnson got a touchdown, but good big win for the New York Giants to get off the schneid and get to 1-3. And the new era of the new quarterback has begun here, but really tough news for New York, losing Neighbors to that ACL injury. He's out for the year. Philadelphia Eagles went down to Tampa in the heat to play the Bucks. They won 31-25. They covered the 3.5 points. It was all Philly in this game, right from the start with a blocked punt for a touchdown, and that just put Tampa behind the 8 ball. There was a late fumble by Bucky that also didn't help. So they had 2 turnovers, and you really just can't do that against this team. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 15 for 24 and 130 yards. He had 2 TDs, no interceptions, even though they gave up a couple sacks. Once again, he was a leading rusher with 62 yards. Saquon got in for a touchdown, but only 43 yards. So Tampa's defense was good, but the offense was just okay. Baker, 22 of 40, 289, only a 55% completion percentage. So the Philadelphia defense was there. He did have 2 TDs, but he had an interception and a couple sacks. Bucky Irving, 63 yards only, but he had a very key fumble. In the second half, Rachaad White didn't do much, 17 yards. And of course, Baker is going to rush for a few. He ended up with 13. And yeah, the full too. 3-1, and the Eagles stay perfect at 4-0. The Indianapolis Colts went out to LA to play the Rams, and it did not go well. Daniel Jones, decent game, but not really. 24 of 33, 72% completion percentage for 262 yards, but he did have 2 interceptions. He had a TD. Jonathan Taylor was held under 100, only 76 yards. So the Rams defense really did their job. And when it came down to it, Matthew Stafford, 29 of 41 for 375 and 3 touchdowns. Great game for Stafford. Kyren Williams, 77 yards, led in rushing, but he did have a fumble. And the Colts put up a good fight in this game, but at the end it was just too much. Nakua, Atwell, Adams all got in for TDs, and the Rams improved to 3-1 on the season, and the Colts are also at 3-1. I think in this game, big takeaway for me was the Colts definitely are for real. And they were in this game sort of right till the end. I continue to look at them as the favorite to win the AFC South, despite the fact that Houston finally got a convincing win this weekend. The Jacksonville Jaguars went out to San Francisco and took down the 49ers 26-21. Trevor Lawrence, good day, 21 for 31, only 174 yards, but he got a TD. He didn't have any interceptions, and they kept him upright with no sacks. Travis Etienne, 19 for 124 and a touchdown. Really nice average there at 6.5. Brian Thomas III for 49 yards, led receiving on 7 targets. And Brock Purdy played, but he didn't play that well. 22 of 38 for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions. And McCaffrey led rushing with only 49 yards. So Jacksonville defense played really well. McCaffrey, 92 yards receiving and a touchdown. It was really only McCaffrey out there contributing on offense. And again, Brock Purdy didn't have a great day. So the Jags go to 3-1 and are right behind the Colts in that division in the AFC South. And San Francisco goes to 3-1. They trail the Rams, but it really feels like in the NFC West that it's a story about the Rams in Seattle this year. The Baltimore Ravens got their asses kicked by the Kansas City Chiefs. With a depleted offense, the Baltimore Ravens defense continues to have very serious problems. Patrick Mahomes, 25 of 37 for 270 yards and 4 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy came back. He was healthy, but not a huge day, but some key catches. 2 for 38. And he was only targeted 5 times. Pacheco caught 7 for 35. Kareem Hunt, 34. Sorry, Xavier Worthy, 5 receptions on 8 for 83 yards and 8 targets. Travis Kelce, 5 for 48 on 5 targets. So, yeah, Xavier Worthy came back and he contributed. But this to me was really a story of sort of another bad performance by Lamar Jackson. Only 14 of 20 for 147 yards. He had a touchdown. He had an interception. He got sacked 3 times, and I believe he fumbled also as a rusher. So, Justice Hill, good day on the ground, 3 for 76, but Lamar careless with the ball, with throwing interceptions and also fumbling. I mean, if he fumbles and throws an interception twice in a game, they're not going to win, and their defense just looked horrible. This was probably the most surprising outcome for me of the day, as the Baltimore Ravens go to 1-3 on the season, and the Chiefs are right back where most people expected them to be at 2-2. They trail the Chargers, but suddenly they're right back in the position they want to be in to both be very competitive for the AFC West and also be a playoff team like they always are. Chicago Bears went out to Vegas to play the Raiders. They got a 1-point win and the cover, 25-24, depending on what your closing line was. Geno Smith, terrible day, 14 for 21 and only 117 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, that to me, that was like, if you ever want to know why Geno was traded off of Seattle, like, look at that performance yesterday. That was awful. Genty, 21 for 138 and the touchdown. Good job by him. And Brock Bowers, 5 for 46 on 6 targets. But, it just wasn't enough when Geno plays that well. And Caleb Williams, 22 of 37 for 212. He had a touchdown. He did throw an interception, but did pretty well in terms of staying upright. He did get sacked once. Swift, 14 for 38 and a touchdown. And Odunze, 4 for 69 and a TD on 8 targets. and Komet 3 for 46 on 9 targets. So the two of them, and Zacchaeus 5 of 6 on the targets. Really good job distributing the ball to a bunch of different receivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people got receptions from Caleb Williams there. So good job spreading the ball around. And, they did what they had to in order to get the win. Last game of the day last night was a doozy. Green Bay Packers went down to Dallas as 6.5-point favorites. Final score was 40-40. We have our first tie of the season. But yeah, really good game. A really good game by the Dallas offense. I mean, they continue to be impressive. I mean, last week I guess was an anomaly because CD Lamb got hurt, and they just were reeling after that, and they weren't able to rebound. But this week they got things back on track, refocused. It really became all about George Pickens taking his place as a number one receiver, and he did a great job. He had some incredible catches. He scored twice. Eight receptions for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 targets. Great job by Pickens. And Dak had a good 300 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. Jordan Love also had an amazing game, 31 of 43 for 337, 3 touchdowns, all to Romeo Doubs. And, Josh Jacobs was just an absolute workhorse on the ground, 22 of 86 for 2 touchdowns, including a 19-yard run, but also had 4 receptions for 71 yards. I mean, just an unbelievable game by Jacobs. This was a high-powered game by both offenses, and we expected that out of the Packers. But to see the Dallas Cowboys do that against this Green Bay defense was a little bit surprising, and I think that's why the Packers came in as 6.5-point favorites. But, man, they did not play up to their expected level on defense, and the Dallas just seemed to be able to score at will, it felt like. There was an interesting play early in the game where, the Packers were about to take a 14-0 lead, and Dallas blocked the extra point and scored. So instead of being 14-0 and having all the momentum, suddenly it was 13-2. And with like 2 minutes left in the game, Jordan Love turned the ball over and Dallas came down and scored, and they scored again. So in 30 seconds, they scored 2 touchdowns after the blocked extra point, and suddenly go into halftime with the lead. And at that point, you knew, as a Green Bay bettor, which was me, by the way, you knew that they weren't going to cover. It was just so clear at that point. There was also a key face mask when the Packers were up by 4 late in the game. And that, again, sealed it, gave Dallas a first down, and they ended up going in and scoring. And it was just back and forth scoring all the way through overtime. And this thing ended with, field goals being kicked from very close range. Great job by the kicker on Green Bay. Brandon McManus was just striping the ball. Kicked several 50-plus yard field goals. So great job by him. Great job by both teams here. This was an exciting game, and Mike Tirico will remind you of that. And despite the fact that Chris Collinsworth was totally insufferable, this was a great game to watch, great game in the NFL. That brings us to tonight, Monday night. We got a doubleheader. Starting off with the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins at 7:15, followed by the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Denver Broncos at 8:15. Should be two gems. I don't know why they didn't do the second game on the West Coast starting at 10. I like that when they spread them out like that. Now you got to watch both, but at the same time. But either way, it was a great day of action in the NFL, great week of action. Not too many surprises. In fact, once again, we get into week 5 without there being major casualties on the survivor front. Buffalo being the biggest one of the week, and I think Detroit was probably close behind that. A lot of people actually used Houston. I used one of my teams on Houston as the expectation is that Tennessee is really the worst team in the league, and Houston finally got off the schneid and just took them behind the woodshed. It was just great that they, I have Houston's fantasy team defense on my fantasy team, and it was great to see them. They put up 14 points between the interceptions and the sacks and shutting the team out. So hopefully you had a good week in your leagues at wantomakeabet.com. There's still plenty of time to join most of these leagues, but we are to the end of September. Today being the last 2 NFL games in the month of September as we move into October. Great college football in our future. Tough loss for Penn State on Saturday night at the whiteout game. Their offense looked terrible. Drew Allard did not look good. Franklin, another loss against a top 10 team. His record is terrible. And Penn State really didn't look good until, there were about 8 minutes left in the game when they finally scored. And a great game to be at. Did go to overtime, and Oregon ended up scoring in double overtime. And Drew Allard threw a fatal interception that ended the game and left everybody with their mouths hanging open in Happy Valley. And that was tough to watch for Penn State fans. But another great day in college. Ohio State took it to Washington, and as 8-point favorites, they ended up, defense clamped down, got the win. Big win for Alabama over Georgia, also 24-21. And a lot of premier college football matchups coming our way in the coming weeks. The next 2 months are just going to be, every single Saturday are going to be fantastic matchups. So looking forward to it in all the leagues. And if you got any questions, reach out to me, Jack at wantomakeabet.com. Happy to help. Have a good week, everybody, and we'll see you Wednesday night on the show, where Jack and Cello will take you through every NFL game like we did. We had a good week. We went 3-2. Our 5 picks ended up being Seattle, Atlanta, Tampa Bay was a tough loss, getting 3.5. We had our obligatory anti-survivor pick in the New Orleans Saints. That's been working out for us this year. The record's now 3-1 on the season. And unfortunately, we had the Baltimore Ravens against the Chiefs, laying 2.5 on the road. So we ended up 3-2 on the week, but it's still 60%. We'll take it. We'll move on. And we got to bounce back from some of those tough early weeks where we went 1-4 and 2-3, so that we can get back to, something like 60-70% on the season. That's our goal if we're going to finish in the money in any of these contests. But love doing the work and love providing the picks and the analysis, and love hearing the feedback from you guys. Have a great week.